Hello, my name is Jeff. This is Castle Tutelage, your 2A Self-Defense Law Network. We are working on the 8 common issues that self-defense CCW people have when they do get into a use of force incident. What is the prosecutor going to be looking at? Today we are going to be talking about provoke and prolonging the fight. I just want to say again here, we have about 27 followers on Facebook. If this is something that you are interested in, please go over to Facebook, like us. It's going to help us a lot. Like this video, make a comment on this video, share this video. I'm incurring monthly expenses now, so if you guys do that, it's going to help me out a little bit more. Okay. Here are the 8 common issues of self-defense claims. We already talked about your mindset today. Provoke and prolong. And we are, I went by one thing. We got to talk a little bit about what is the definition of provoked anyway. It seems like some people really don't understand. So, it's stimulate or give rise to a reaction or emotion, typically a strong or unwelcome one in some way. Stimulate or incite to do or feel something, especially by arousing anger, and then deliberately make annoyed or a person annoyed or angry. This is what narcissists do, okay? This is what they do all the time, and you got to be aware exactly what is the definition of provoke, okay? We're going to get into the general overall view of things. So the federal courts have come with a general rule of what is how do you provoke someone, how do you prolong the fight, and the federal courts came up with this: an affirmative, unlawful act of reasonably calculated to produce an affray, foreboding, injurious, of fatal consequence or fatal consequence. And I know after you guys have read that and after I said that, you're going, Jeff, didn't you say you're going to make this before the common man, the meat and potatoes, the bread and butter kind of stuff? Yeah. Unfortunately, we got to dabble in legalese so we can come back and understand exactly what is going to go on. So let's go word for word. Every red word in there has a very specific meaning. Affirmative, it must be on purpose. An innocent act of just accidentally bumping into him is not, you do not lose your innocence standard on that. You did not provoke the fight. It has to be an intentional act. Now, this next one is going to be unlawful. You're going to say, oh, of course, an unlawful act is, you lose your innocence if it's an unlawful act. But more importantly, what is a lawful act? Remember, with ordinary force, if someone's trying to force their way into your home, you can shove them away. All right, even though that is intentional, that is an intentional pushing, but you are preventing them from doing something illegal. Okay, so when you're dealing with how do you lose your innocence, or how you become the aggressor, or if you're provoking something, it has to be an unlawful act. The next one, calculated to produce an affray with presence of forethought. You wanted to get into that person's mind. You wanted to get under his skin. You wanted to get into a physical conflict. A perfect example is, you know, this guy's a bully and he's been beating up your younger brother, or he's been getting googly eyes at your sister, whatever the thing is, and now you want to provoke him into a fight where you can still be the innocent guy. So what you do is you go up there and you fake like you're innocently bumping into him, but your intent is there. Are you a calculator? Are you a narcissist with forethought of calculation that you wanted to get into a physical fight? This last one, injurious or fatal consequence. The act must be intrinsically dangerous. Now, this is going to be a rabbit hole situation. Every state is going to be a little bit different, and it has all its rabbit hole scenarios. I just want you to be aware of them, because there are various ones. Okay? The first one that we're going to be talking is words only. I see that this is on the wrong screen. But words only. In some states, words only, and you become the aggressor. You lost your innocent standard. Yeah, in some cases it's going to be like that. And I'm going to get into a little bit more in depth with this one. I'm not going to be with the others because people are saying, words only? Are you crazy? Why is it just words only? How can words make you lose your innocence? Well, this is what happened. I'm going to really brief case. Boyfriend, girlfriend living with a roommate. Boyfriend, girlfriend wants roommate out of the apartment. Boyfriend tells roommate to get out. Boyfriend goes to work. Girlfriend, roommate have issues. Girlfriend calls boyfriend and says, hey, this guy's being a jackhole. Come home. I'm kind of nervous around him. Boyfriend comes home. Once he gets home, takes his tools, throws them on the ground, and says, here's your effing tools. According to the state, that is, I think it's Maryland. I should have put, I just put, did I reference it? Maybe, the words alone, it is North Carolina. Okay? In North Carolina, words only will be a problem. And I just want to put this appellate court note in there. And the individual is the aggressor if he aggressively and willingly enters into a fight without legal excuse or provocation. A person is considered to be an aggressor when he has provoked a present difficulty by language or conduct toward another that is calculated and intending to bring it about. Even in the court papers, sometimes in the court papers it doesn't give you the totality of what the case is about because you are only reading what the judges want you to understand what their decision is. Okay, so you don't get the entire picture. Are the tools very important to the roommate? I'm assuming so. He probably makes his living with that. I don't know, but that throwing him on the ground, and he got a 10-year sentence for this. Well, let's finish it. Guy comes home. Boyfriend comes home, roommate starts a fight, a bat gets involved, roommate dead. 10-year sentence upheld by the appellate court decision by words only. You lose your innocent standard. Well, let's go back here. In some cases, this is wrong too. In some states, you need more than just words. You need to have the slightest of physical contact. So if you're saying, hey, D-bag, F this, F that, and you poke them into the pectoral muscle, that is when you become the aggressor. That is when you lose your innocence standard. Physical force only. Some other states, and if I didn't say it, is words only are just a few states. Words and physical contact, slight physical contact, is a majority of the states, okay? So physical force only. You are the aggressor if you are an intimate or actual physical force to start the fight. You do not need to wait until someone throws a punch. You don't need to wait until someone slashes you with a knife. You don't need to wait for that other person to fire that gun. If you are an immediate threat of death or great bodily harm, you can use physical force, ordinary or deadly force, before that act happened. But you just need to be aware of that physical force only, you can lose your innocent standard. You can become the aggressor. Prolonging the fight. If in a moment in time the fight stops, but you collect yourself for another run at the guy, you are now the aggressor. A typical example is you see in Hollywood, there's two fights going on. The bad guy is beating up the innocent guy, and then the innocent guy gets his butt kicked, and he's off, behind a dumpster somewhere. He's collecting himself. And the good guy, the bad guy says, yeah, I'm tough. He starts straightening his jacket, straightening his hair, winks at the girl in the corner, starts walking away, and the good guy comes out around the corner and tackles him. Yeah, you can cheer for that in the movies, but now you become the aggressor. What is going on with that? Okay, mutual combat is the next one. Mutual combat is interesting. You get two morons together and say, I would like you to fight you at a time and a place. You've lost your innocent standard. You have no rights for self-defense whatsoever. Okay? Even if you have a long-standing feud with somebody. Did I spell feud wrong? Beautiful, Jeffrey. If you have a long-standing feud with somebody, the prosecutor is going to be also looking at that kind of a scenario. Are you baiting him into becoming getting into a fight with somebody? Are you doing something that is going to be irritating? So that is kind of something that you need to take a look at. If you have a long-standing feud with each other, both of you could lose your self-defense claim, and at least those people probably know how to spell feud right. Okay, escalation. Escalation in force is always something people don't really understand, and there's also a de-escalating in force. If somebody pokes you into the chest, but you gave an elbow to the chin, that's ordinary force, but that is also an escalation in ordinary force. So the person who poked you was the aggressor at that time, but since you escalated it into an elbow into the chin, you have lost your innocent standard. You have, you are the provoker. Okay. Now, ordinary force is, if someone pokes you, you could probably swat that finger away. That would be an appropriate response, where you have saved your innocent standard. You are not the aggressor, and you're not the provoker. Regaining your innocence. I put this one in here because it is something that you need to know, and I am not putting it in there to give you an out if you are the bad guy. Regaining your innocence is going to go like this. If a bad guy came after you with a knife and he's about 15 feet within your zone, you pull and you start drawing on him, and then all of a sudden he drops the knife, he puts up his hands, and he verbally says, "Oh no, man, I don't want any part of this. Don't shoot me, please. I'm going to go away now like a good little boy." Like it or not, and some people have a bad time with this idea, he's regained his innocent standard. And you're going to get a lot of comments out there in some of my videos about this. If someone attacks you with a knife, I'm going to finish it. Well, that is anger. You're not in fear for your life anymore. You are hot in between the ears. You don't have that fear feeling of cold hands. And I'm going to be talking a little bit about that. There's a lot of comments of, "You have wronged me, and if someone attacks me, I'm going to finish it because he made me mad and he wronged me." That isn't fear-based. You can only use deadly force, use of deadly force, when you fear. It doesn't say when you are angry. So regaining your innocence is like, and I'll talk a little bit about Minnesota, is when you start to back off. That is when the fight is over. That is when you regain your innocent standard. That is when you are no longer the provoker. And just say that you continued with it, he's backing off, and you draw on him fire, you become the aggressive. You become the aggressor. You become the bad guy. Okay? Minnesota goes like this. The standard still is there. You can back off, and if he backs off, you become you regain your innocent. But Minnesota also puts in the verbiage, if the person you attack doesn't recognize that you are trying to regain your innocence and he follows through on it, oh well, that is basically how it goes. Okay, so we got the 8 common mistakes people are making with concealed carry, and let's get back to let's just stay right here. An affirmative, unlawful act of reasonably calculated to produce an affray, foreboding, injurious, or fatal consequences. That is the sentence to gauge if you have lost your innocence, if you are the aggressor. That is something that is very important to the prosecutor. He wants to know, what the relationship is between you and this person. Do you have a history of feuding? He wants to know all that stuff. So if your narrative has anything to do with provoking the fight or prolonging the fight, you lost your innocent standard. You have become the aggressor. All right. My name is Jeff. This is Castle Tutelage, your 2A self-defense law network. I hope this helped.